Welcome. We are here today with Emily from Sovereign Rising, who guides women on the Birthing Soul app through all kinds of theta healing support. Welcome, Emily.
Thank you so much for having me here. Thank you for inviting me to be a part of this project and this movement. And I'm so excited to talk to you and everyone who's listening today about theta and theta healing.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here, Emily. I feel like you have just brought this profound wisdom and deep healing state to the Birthing Soul app that I'm just so excited to share more about and really kind of dig into the details today of what theta healing is. So, would you start by sharing, describing the theta state, how you work with it, how that shows up for you, and just a little bit about you and the work that you bring to the world?
Yeah, it's a lot of questions. I'm going to do my best to remember all of them.
Yeah.
So my journey started off probably about close to 10 years ago, where I was very much so living honestly, in the matrix life, right? I was going to school, I had a regular 9 to 5 job. I was in university, and all of a sudden, my digestive system took a full 180, and I had trouble, it might be TMI, but trouble going to the bathroom. I was bloated. And this was going on for a couple of years, and I couldn't figure out a solution. I started going to away from Western medicine into the more holistic path. And then I stumbled across theta healing, and I will describe more about this powerful modality very soon. But this technique, this movement, this way of living, it allowed me to uncover why that deep root cause on a belief level of why I was holding on to this chronic dis-ease in my body and to change it. So
Mm,
now doctors labeled me as having celiac disease, IBS, PCOS, and now I am cleared of all of that. Things
wow.
that a lot of people say, well, you're just stuck with it the rest of your life, right? So then it got me thinking, well, if I can clear this, what else can I do with belief systems? And so that started me on a journey I became a practitioner, I became an instructor. I've helped hundreds of women now with everything from narcissistic relationships to weight to PCOS, celiac disease, money. And then I had my daughter. And I was in that, I feel like we all go through it, that part of our journey where we're like, we got this in the bag, like we've mastered this. And I fell flat on my ass. I went through postpartum anger and anxiety and rage. And I kept thinking, I'm a healer. I've been doing this for close to 10 years. What is going on?
Mm,
And it was shown very clearly to me that my daughter, like all of our children, are here to awaken us as mothers, to show us the parts of ourselves that we've suppressed, that we've ignored, that we've rejected, and that is stopping us from being the powerful mother and woman that we can be. And so I had left Theta Healing for that first little bit, probably for the first 9 months of having my daughter. I was in that fight or flight mode, which a lot of mothers are in, right? We have this new child and we're like, what do I do with this thing? Right? I'm not sleeping. I can't take care of myself. The resentment towards my partner, my past life, like everything. And
mm.
I remember one day I was bawling my eyes out on the floor. I just put my daughter down for a nap, and she had, what's it called? It's not colic. She had acid reflux. So she barely slept. I barely slept. I had to hold her upright for 30 minutes after she fed at night. So I was getting like zero sleep. And she had a terrible time napping. So I was just in this state of, I don't even want to do this anymore. And I got to the point where I don't want to be a mom. And I was crying on the floor. And I told and I asked Creator, God, whatever you want to call it, this higher being, like, help me. Show me what needs to happen for me to be the highest and best version of myself, for me to clear this, for me to change this. And I was instantly reminded of Theta Healing. And it was one of those moments where you're like, I've been doing this for so long. How did I forget this? But then I started implementing Theta Healing into my life little by little, and her acid reflux disappeared. My postpartum cleared. I started enjoying motherhood more. I had more time, whereas before I felt there was no time. And then I got to see how much of how I was showing up for her was things that I picked up from my childhood. And that just opened up the doorway to mothers need to know this. They need to know that what they're holding on to is impacting how they're experiencing motherhood and what they're passing down to their kids, what their kids are going to see the world as and themselves as. So that's a bit about my story and how I got here into being the creator of Sovereign Rising, which is rising into sovereignty for mother and also empowering mothers to do that for their kids. So the next generation isn't raised in the matrix with suppression, with anxiety, with everything that is being pushed in mainstream as normal. But the next generation is going to grow up as the light leaders and workers that are going to shift the conscious collective. I just got a whole wave of truth bumps. I
Mm.
love those little moments of confirmation. So,
Yeah, I love this so much. I feel like the story is just so incredible, kind of painting this picture that as a mother, your power to heal yourself, your children, it's available. It's available to you. And I think we have been really conditioned with so many heavy beliefs around that not being possible, about externalizing our power, sending that away to experts. And there's a time and a place, right, for getting outside support and getting different treatment, holistic remedies, all types of things. But to just really capture the power of really belief systems and shifting that, would you share more specifically about what is the theta state? What is theta healing and what are the beliefs that we're dealing with? Explain a little bit more about how you're working with that.
yeah. So we have 5, but we normally go through 4 brainwave states, and I'm pretty sure on the app, you actually talk about that, right? And you
Yep.
do a whole section on that
Oh, yeah.
because it's so important. So I wanna talk about 2 that are really important, and the one that most mothers are in primarily, like 90% of the time, which is beta. And beta is that fight or flight. Beta is that hustle, that overthinking, that I'm just seeing the world through the lens of my wounds. And let's just make sure we cover the fact that beta is also the consciousness state. But most mothers are not in that space. They're in the fight or flight. They're in the I feel guilt. I feel overwhelm. I feel overstimulation. I never have enough time for myself. And they can't respond. They react.
Mm.
And think about a mother who's in that first year postpartum. She's not getting sleep. She's probably not nourishing herself. This little being, if she's breastfeeding, is sucking like half her nutrients out of her. So her primal needs are lacking. And so that just biologically, physiologically is putting her in beta. Now, the other brainwave state that is super important that I tap into and I teach my students to tap into, and that I guide mothers through in the birthing soul, is that theta brainwave state. Now,
Mhm.
theta is that moment right before you go to sleep and right when you wake up. It is a beautiful little window that we as adults get to experience where we are connected to all there is, where we have our subconscious mind wide open, where we come back to a place of regulation. Just by you walking yourself up to that theta brainwave state and shifting your brainwave state, you will instantly notice that your body responds. Your shoulders drop, you can breathe deeper. And it's not even doing any of the theta healing, it's just accessing that brainwave state. Because here it's the rest and digest. Here is where you have vivid imagination. Here is where you can access the subconscious mind. And here is where you can identify what belief systems you were holding on to and change them. So the biggest belief systems that I have found with the mothers that I work with that they hold is I'm alone, I'm not good enough, I am unsupported, I I have to self-sacrifice, sacrifice everything about myself, everything about my time, and um, I'm only a mother now.
Mm.
And there's a whole ton more, right? Because
Right.
every
Right.
individual will have their own belief system, but these are the biggest ones. And now think about it. If you are acting through this belief system, you are going to see the world in a way that is no one's there to help me. My partner's not there to support me. I have no time for myself. You're always going to compare yourself to others. You're going to feel like you're never doing enough. And so, how do you think your kids are going to see you? How do you think your kids are going to see the world? Because now you'll start talking about things like, we don't have enough money. You're going to start resenting your kids and your partner. You're going to start wanting to push them away or have more time for yourself. You're going to push them into being better and doing more extracurricular activities, maybe getting better grades, because it's trying to validate something in yourself or it's trying to
Mm.
protect you from feeling something that you didn't want to feel. So this is how you act out in beta. The reason why I guide mothers to theta is because it allows you to see what belief systems you are living out of. And through the technique, through the practices that I do and the specific way in which we guide you through reprogramming it, you can simply change it instantly. There's no, I need to say 100 affirmations for 60 days straight in order to hopefully see a change. This allows you to access that 95% of your subconscious mind that is controlling your reality and just simply, I like to say that you simply pull it out and you place something else back in. And with the tests that I teach my clients and my students, you can physically see in your body that a belief system has been changed. And from there, everything about your motherhood experience changes. Like I said, for myself, my daughter no longer had acid reflux. I didn't do anything extra that I was already doing for her on this third plane. But what I did was I changed a belief system in myself. And specifically for myself, it was a belief system that I have no time for myself. And you may think, well, how is that connected to her reflux? But my belief systems are creating my reality. So if I have the belief that there's not enough time, I don't have enough time, that everything in my reality is going to mirror that. So that meant that I created, and this might trigger you, but I created my daughter's acid reflux as a way to validate that belief system. Once that belief system was gone, she no longer needed to show me what needed to be changed in my belief system so she could heal. She didn't need it anymore. And do you feel the power of that? Like, you don't have to change anything. Your kids are throwing temper tantrums. I remember having a client who her daughter she was getting really aggressive. She was witnessing other people around her being aggressive. She had a lot of trauma from her dad. And the mom, a client came to me and she's like, I don't know what to do because she's fighting me. She's getting angry all the time. And so we found out for her that she was still holding on to trauma from the relationship with her husband. And she also believed that she deserved aggression because she experienced that from him. So her daughter was just showing her what her belief systems told her was her truth. Once we cleared that, without doing anything on the daughter, she stopped being aggressive. She started showing her mother more love, started like touching her face gently. And that was just by changing the mom's belief systems, because now your kid no longer needs to show up in a way to show you what you are ready to clear.
Yeah, that's powerful. I think it really illuminates the mother-child connection that, as you mentioned, I think can feel very triggering for some people because it's a fine line to say, hey, the things going on with you are caused by your children, and there's also alternative scenarios, but there's so much we can do within our kind of day-to-day home life, an experience of parenting our children, the experience of pregnancy and preparing for birth and things like this that can be shifted so profoundly through really it's the belief state, which to me just represents kind of the energetic field, the energetic connection between you and your child, which, yeah, it's invisible, but doesn't make it not real. It's so real, and you see it change and evolve with your clients. I just think it's so fascinating, and I felt it. I mean, I'm a believer because we've done this work together, and I even just remember when we were setting out to record, honestly, an insane amount of recordings in one day for the app, and you had just grounded us all in, cleared any resistance beliefs that it wasn't possible, and, like, somehow there was just a time warp that allowed us to capture an insane amount of footage and content and wisdom from our contributors onto the app in one day. I mean, it was just astonishing. I was like, "That was Emily. That was Emily." But to bring it back, to pregnancy and birth preparation, and especially in that first year postpartum, like, why do you feel that this theta work is so profound during this time in particular?
Yeah. So the moment that you conceive your child is the moment that they start to pick up your belief systems. That's the moment that you start to impact how your child is going to see themselves and how they're going to navigate the world. And that is a huge role that mothers have. And if you're on this journey, you go beyond what ordinary motherhood is, right? What mainstream motherhood is. You are going to the depths of, I have to clear what's in myself so my child has a chance to be free and liberated and love themselves. It's so important because in the first 7 years, but specifically in the first year of your kid's life, so from conception to year one, so kind of like, yeah, the conception to year one, their root chakra is being developed. And this is the energy center of safety. Now, safety is one of the things that has been ripped away from us in society. We are primed, we are conditioned, we are programmed to be in fear consistently. We don't have enough money. There's going to be electrical outages, there's droughts, there's natural disasters, there's war, you're never safe. You're never safe in your relationships. You have to put up your guard. You have to keep your heart blocked. You're never safe in your body. Oh, look, you're not like a supermodel. Or you're not like this athlete. You're not good enough. So when you start using theta healing, when you start uncovering the belief systems that you have around safety, that you picked up from your childhood, that you picked up from 7 generations past, you give your child the opportunity to feel unconditionally safe. Not, if I get A's, I am safe and I am loved. If I listen to my parents, I am safe and I am loved. If I have a certain amount of money, a certain amount of toys, do this, do that, then I will be loved and safe. But knowing within their being, in their energy, in their field, in their organs, that they are unconditionally safe. That the materialistic world doesn't determine whether they feel safe in their body. And when you start doing this work and you clear those belief systems around safety, but also around your worth and around love and around trust, what happens is that you and your body begin to get regulated when you are pregnant. When you are regulated, your child feels that. So they feel safe emerging into the world gracefully,
Mm.
right? In that first year, you won't experience the postpartum anger and depression and whatever it is. Cancel clear. You might, but you also know and can see these are my belief systems. I can change them. You can show up for your child from a place of, I see you with unconditional love. All my job is to create an environment where you can thrive, where you can feel safe, where you can be sovereign, rather than you need to do all these things. I need to compare myself to other moms. I need to hustle. I need to take on gazillion tasks at one time. Your job isn't to raise a child. Your job is to create an environment for them to thrive. But that environment for them to thrive is only possible if you are in a space where you feel safe, where you feel loved, where you can trust yourself. And in that first year, when your child is learning how to regulate themselves through you, well, you need to be regulated. You need to know how to clear the anger, clear the resentment, clear the pain, clear the lack of sleep. Because even with theta healing, we don't just reprogram belief systems. You can also download emotions. Because if you've never felt love as a child, you will never know what unconditional love feels like. But you can download that into your cells, tissues, and organs. So that way, when you see your child, you can see them through love, the unconditional love. When you see your body and it's changed in the mirror, and maybe you have stretch marks, and maybe you have extra weight gain in that first year, and maybe you're struggling with that, you can see yourself through love rather than the old belief systems and the old programs of, well, my mom forced me to diet when I was young because I didn't look a certain way. You'll be able to let that go. So you can create an environment for your kids to thrive, to be free, to see that they are taken care of by the universe, that they can ground themselves, and that they are unconditionally loved and safe.
Hmm. Yeah, it so much speaks to what the Birthing Soul app is wanting to bring into the lives of women is really just inner resourcing. It's so many inner resources so that you don't feel like you need to outsource. Or when you have a belief that comes in externally, you can navigate around that in various ways because I see this happen so much in the early postpartum. It's like, oh, there's acid reflux, or my baby isn't a good sleeper, or whatever these beliefs are, even diagnostic things that come from doctors, things like that. I feel like what we're not really seeing in the early postpartum care system at all is that mothers have the power to regulate through emotion and through belief to shift the frequency for their baby. And frequency is where disease begins, it's where health begins, it's where vitality begins. The fact that these are also very simple practices speaks to me so much because I think what we're offered in terms of solutions can feel so complicated and overwhelming. And again, that's just another belief system, right? That in
Mhm.
order to find a great solution, you have to call your insurance company and get a pre approval and find the right specialist. And, now we're weeks down the road where that belief system of how unhealthy your baby is just settled in so deeply. And the emotional system has been dysregulated constantly, where here we're kind of sort of meeting at the root and saying like, okay, can we shift this belief now? Can we welcome the emotion now? Can we move with the frequency of
Mhm.
thought, of emotion, and ultimately then how the energy shows up in the body, how it's expressing to transform it? And it's like, could it be that simple? Actually, yeah, it can. I really, really believe it can. But um I
It
think it's
can.
just, yeah, yeah,
It can. The seminar that I host to teach mothers this, it's 3 days. That's it.
yeah,
You can learn this in 3 days, that you can bend time to create more time, that you can
right.
clear years and generations of trauma, that you can
Mhm.
change your belief systems. You can speak to your unborn child. One of the
Right.
practices that we do in the advanced seminar is we clear the any and all trauma, anything that is held in the womb from when you were a baby and when your child was a baby. Because not everybody is like head over heels happy when they're pregnant. We'd
Right.
like to think that that's everyone's experience, but sometimes it's kind of like a, yeah, uh-oh moment, right? And
Mhm.
your child feels that. One of the biggest belief systems that I've cleared in babies, especially in that first year, is I am unwanted. It's sad. And you, as a mother, learning this in 3 days, have the power to clear that. And when you clear that belief system, even in yourself, even in your child, you will notice the bond between you two is so much deeper. You will notice that they show up for you differently and you show up for them differently.
Mm.
And all of this can be learned in 3 days. The mothers who go through the seminar with me, I remember one mother, she has 6 kids and she was having a difficult time. Like she has 6 kids, giving attention to all 6 kids. They all show up differently. And by the end of it, she had 2 of her kids starting to do theta healing with her. She was able to connect with one of her children that kind of was like a, I don't want to speak to you kind of energy. She was able to break through that, lovingly push and breathe through that to now her and her daughter's relationship is so much stronger because she changed her belief systems. And now her children are wanting to do it. They're wanting to know, like, what's within me?
Mhm.
And in 3 days, you can experience things like that. In 3 days, I remember one mom said she lost 10 pounds by the end of the weekend, just clearing her body of beliefs.
It's wild because the beliefs we carry are heavy.
Yeah, very heavy.
We are conditioned so profoundly, and I think it is so hard to put our finger on it because in the birth world, you're looking at this 0 to 3 mapping out 95% of your subconscious beliefs. Well, children are obviously babies rather, are pre-verbal. So the way that they're feeling, mapping this out is through these sort of invisible um, interactions in their environment, right? It's not like somebody sat down this 1-year-old and said, all right, in order to be a good girl, it's this and this and this, right? But they see and they feel the energy on so many different levels that I just think it's hard for us to fully reconcile. And it happens so quickly, like millions per second of
Mhm.
input. And so that is just wild to think of just shedding all of that weight and pressure and therefore, what is possible for mothers when they're releasing these toxic beliefs?
Oh, that's a big question. So I have one client who she messaged me. She's like, Emily, thank you so much for teaching me this. Her daughter had a seizure the night before and she was co-sleeping with her. And she's like, I was able to clear that seizure from her. That and the trauma, both from the mom and her, that the daughter woke up the next day. She was probably like 6. So she would have been aware. She would have noticed that her body was probably tight, her all that. She said she experienced nothing, and she was so grateful that she could have cleared that, again, from the physical body, the emotional, the mental, and the energetic field. So that way she no longer had to experience and hold on to that. What's possible for mothers is literally anything, anything. I remember um, I had a friend message me the other day saying that she had to go find a job. She's a mom of 2 kids. She had to go find a job. And she told me, she's at, you can't live off of one income. My husband's working. You can't live off of one income. And I swear all my friends know this from me by now, that
Totally.
I'm going to call you out. And I called her out. I was like, this isn't the truth. If your husband was making $1 million, you could 100% survive off of one income. This is your belief systems kicking in, telling you you can't. And the only way that, again, you've been conditioned and programmed is that you have to get a job, right? So anything is possible. If you have a child that's not sleeping, change your belief systems. I remember one client, she went through the seminar and she was having a lot of difficulty with one child. Her daughter wasn't sleeping, was waking up, having night terrors, and night terrors, for whenever I see a child with night terrors, it's a clear sign their root chakra is out of balance. They don't
Mm,
have a level of safety, and something needs to be done in the mom and the child.
huh,
We started off with just the mom. And she cleared belief systems in herself around her daughter's sleep. So it is safe for me to relax. That's a belief system we cleared. Just by clearing that in the mom, because mom and child are energetically connected, she has her belief systems from conception, from the womb, from breastfeeding, from skin to skin contact, and from her auric field. As soon as you clear that in the mom, the daughter started sleeping. And I remember getting that message in that morning. And she's like, oh my gosh, I feel so good. And that same mom continued to work on clearing some belief systems in herself around time. And again, she sent me a message. I love these messages. She sent me a message saying, I just got 5 hours to myself. I have no idea how that happened, but I am so grateful. And it happened, I think she said like 2 or 3 days after she cleared that belief system of I have no
mhm,
time. Anything is possible for moms. The most powerful thing is that it's going to remind you of how powerful you are.
mm,
Moms are scared. Women are scared of their power because we've been
yeah,
conditioned to be scared of our power. If you've been a witch in a past life, if you believe in past lives, 100% you are going to have that fear, that trauma that you can't be powerful. You can't show up as your most magical, brilliant, bright self because you're going to be burnt.
Right.
You hold on to all those in your DNA.
Right, the women who were burned and pursued, across the globe for being witches were really just wise women who were in touch with their natural rhythms and with divinity and with their community. They were just
Yeah.
aware and embodying their power. I love that you're touching on this part about women being afraid of their own power, because I feel that's an essential resistance point to stepping into this work because, again, as you were kind of naming, this can feel maybe a little bit triggering for mothers. I know I've had experiences like that of feeling triggered by the feeling that really everything that I'm seeing play out with my young children could really come back to me. And therefore, my maternal lineage, right? The maternal lineage is just so incredibly powerful that it's overwhelmed me at times and put me into shutdown and freeze, or revert back to old patterns because it's just such a huge responsibility and there's so much power there. And like, how do women navigate that, feeling like, okay, really, are my kids' diseases and sicknesses and illnesses really connected to my belief systems? Like, how do we navigate then therefore releasing also that guilt, shame, overwhelm frequency that maybe just turns into shutdown, or helplessness. What do you think about that?
I love that question so much. Have the tools. It's so easy to be helpless when you have no tools. I teach mothers to come back to your power, right? Theta healing teaches you to connect with divinity so you can come back to the witch that you are, the wise woman. The only reason why you would feel helpless is if you chose not to utilize the tools that are available. Theta healing is available. It's there. If you're watching this video, you know about it now. If you decide to not venture into learning more about it, it doesn't have to be from me. If you don't like my vibe, don't like my vibe. But you have a tool to reprogram belief systems.
Right.
So that way you'll never feel helpless. If you feel helpless, use theta healing to reprogram that belief. Clear the guilt with theta healing. Access that altered brainwave state. That is why Creator and God has brought this back to Earth at this time. And it's
Yeah.
becoming more and more popular. When I first discovered theta healing, my body instantly knew I got a wave of truth bumps. And most of the women who go through my seminar get that same wave. We've
I just
done
had
this
a
work before.
just now.
Yeah. You've done this
Right
work
before you
before.
said "chew the bumps," I just got it.
And that's because it's a remembering.
Yeah.
Creator has brought it back in this way to make it very simple and clear for us to be able to do this. What I love about theta healing is that it allows you to do pretty much any other modality under theta healing
Right.
because you are connecting back to divinity. You are remembering your truth, remembering your power. You're able to see past the veil of illusion. So you can do any and all other esoteric practices, rituals, everything. But you're coming from a place of, I'm the creator of my reality. And at least for myself and the women that I work with, we love that kind of power. We might be scared of it, but we also are willing, capable, and able to utilize the tools and utilize the practices and the commands that we learn in theta healing to change that within ourselves because we are willing to go to the depths of what's in me, what is possible for me. I'm going to do whatever is possible for myself and my child. And those are
Mhm.
the women who I am calling in to learn this, right? If it triggers you and you're like, I can't do this, I am helpless, you're not at that state yet. You will learn theta healing and you will probably not use it ever again. But for the mothers who are like, yeah, it scares me. Yeah, I've had moments of feeling helpless and I know I can do it.
Mhm.
Then theta healing is for you. It is a next step for you because then you are the creator of your reality. I programmed this talk. I programmed my days. I programmed my daughter's sleep. I notice something coming up for myself when I'm doing business calls like this, or I'm doing a recording for the birthing soul or whatever. And I sit there, I take 5 minutes, I reprogram it, download myself with a belief, maybe bend some time. I had to bend some time before this call because I told you already my microphone wasn't working. I'll do all of that. And I'm like, everything's always working out for me.
Yeah.
It's it's really so simple. If you feel helpless, find a tool that works for you. Theta
Yeah.
healing literally allows you to change the programs that the matrix has put in you.
Mhm.
If you feel helpless, start doing it. And the
Yeah.
birthing soul is a great place to start because you don't have to learn it. You just receive.
True. Yeah, and we do on the app, we have so many other exercises too that help you to navigate meeting your own resistance. And meeting these really lower density emotions like shame, helplessness, despair, those deep trauma frequencies that for a lot of people are, are just living in a state of numbness and disconnection. And so to leap into this space maybe just doesn't quite feel accessible. I think it can be that simple. I genuinely do. And yet I do feel we kind of really phase things in. So you kind of have different pathways of entry. But it's true in this space and the way that you've delivered Theta Healing onto our app, it really just you kind of just surrender and let it wash over you. And I love that. And yet there's also the possibility to go deeper with you. And to kind of pivot a little side note too, one thing I wanted to mention about the brainwave states is how, when you're in theta state, you're ultimately meeting your baby in their brainwave state as well, because babies predominantly dwell in the theta state, going into alpha somewhat, a little bit of beta sometimes, but you're kind of meeting your baby in their comfy place, in their zone of comfort, in their space of learning and intuition. And I think we've just kind of just been told that that's just not true, that we're meant to force our children to adapt to us. And I think when you become a mother, it can be a rude awakening that it's like, oh no, my baby's not adapting to my life. They're teaching me. They're guiding me and showing and revealing the path that I'm now meant to walk. And things are surfacing, right, that you need to deal with. So I love that connection about meeting baby where they're at. Like, thank goodness, these wise beings.
And I'm so glad you mentioned that because it's something that I wanted to talk about as well. Kids are in theta, like you said, they're for the first 7 years.
Yeah.
So it's also, if you do feel the overwhelm, if you do feel the helplessness, the guilt, if you do by chance yell at your kids or you freak out because they're in theta, those belief systems can be changed a lot easier than after those 7 years. Because yes, they're absorbing everything, but doing the reprogramming is so easy. That's why I love working with kids. That's why I encourage all moms, especially in those first 7 years, know theta healing. Because you're going to
Yeah.
learn about yourself, you're going to learn about your kids, you're going to be able to communicate with them easier. Again, like you said, meeting them where they're at. You're entering the brainwave state they're already at. So you can connect and bond in that way. And when stuff comes up, whether it's a traumatic birth, whether it's pain, sickness, dis-ease, a freak out, because you know how to enter back into that state to meet them where they're at, the clearing is just effortless because their brain is like, oh, we can receive new information and it's open for us and available. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
And it's, again, like you said, it's so simple. It
Yeah.
can be simple if we choose to believe that it can be.
Yep. I love this. It's so amazing. Well, I'm just so grateful for your wisdom here. It's so inspiring. I'm like, I need to circle back here, get on my theta groove a little bit recently. I'm like, okay, yeah, I need to re-up. Um, because it is just life-changing work. And I'm so, so grateful that we get to share it with the Birthing Soul Mamas. And I just want to hear from you. Is there any other message you want to make sure that women hear about this work, about their journey?
Mm. Kind of just going back to what we talked about before, just remembering that you are so powerful. Don't let the system, your parents, your friends, experts take you away from you knowing your truth. And the deeper you can trust in yourself, the closer to God and Creator you will be, and the more you will enjoy motherhood, and you will raise a sovereign child.
Mm. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Emily.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
you.